Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Paramahansa, Parudikacharya Ashtotar Tatashi Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Parudikacharya Ashtotar Tatashi Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Deshamrita Ki Jai, Nectar of Instruction Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Goswami Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktapinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Kunna, can you try to find Janardhan? He knows how to get rid of this static. Okay, so first, all right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 24th day of September 2018 in SanDiego, we're reading from the Nectar of Instruction, Sri Upadeshamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So I'll read the verse and translation again, and I'll conclude the purport. Actually, there's a little bit left in the purport. Utsaha nishchayadharyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbir bhakti prasiddhyati utsaha nishtayadharyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati utsaha nishchayadharyat tat karma pravartanat sangatyagat sato vritte shadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati utsaha nishchayadharyat tat karma pravartanat Sangatyagat sato vritte Shadbhi bhakti pasidhyati Utsaha nishtayadharyat Tat karma pravartanat Sangatyagat sato vritte Shadbhi bhakti pasidhyati Utsaha nishtayadharyat Tat karma pravartanat Sangatyagat sato vritte Shadbhi bhakti pasidhyati. You want to try? Go ahead. Not yet. Utsaha nishtayadharyat Tat karma pravartanat Sangatyagat sato vritte Shadbhi bhakti pasidhyati. Translation. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. Okay, so we're going to pick up the purport near the end of this purport. Just give me a second here. Okay, it's a good wind-up. If one strictly follows the advice given in this verse by Srila Rupa Goswami, namely being enthusiastic, being confident, being patient, giving up the association of unwanted persons, following the regulative principles, and remaining in the association of devotees, one is sure to advance in devotional service. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that the cultivation of knowledge by philosophical speculation, the collection of mundane opulence by the advancement of fruitive activities, and the desire for yoga siddhis, material perfections, are all contrary to the principles of devotional service. One has to become thoroughly callous to such non-permanent activities and turn his attention instead to the regulative principles of devotional service. According to the Bhagavad Gita 269, Ya Nisha Sarvabhutanam, anyone know it? Tasyam Jagarti Sanyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Munehi. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Engagement in the devotional service of the Lord is the life and soul of the living entity. It is the desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. One has to become confident about this, and one has to be confident that all activities other than devotional service, such as mental speculation, fruitive work, or mystic endeavor, will never yield any enduring benefit. Complete confidence in the path of devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal, but attempting to follow other paths will only succeed in making one restless. In the 10th canon of Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated, one must be calmly convinced that those who have given up devotional service to engage in severe austerities for other purposes are not purified in their minds despite their advanced austerities, because they have no information of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. It is further stated in the 10th canon, quote, although mental speculators and fruitive actors may perform great austerities and penances, they still fall down because they do not have information about the lotus feet of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord, however, never fall down. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:31, the Supreme Personality of Godhead assures Arjuna, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta panashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Again in the Bhagavad Gita 2:40, Krishna says, Neha vikramanashosti Pratyabhayo na vidyate svapamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Devotional service is so pure and perfect that once it has begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. Sometimes a person will give up his ordinary material engagements and out of sentiment take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and thus begin the preliminary execution of devotional service. Just give me a second here, this anomaly. Okay. Even if such an immature devotee falls down, there is no loss on his part. On the other hand, what is the gain of one who executes the prescribed duties according to his varna and ashram, but does not take to devotional service? Although a fallen devotee may take his next birth in a low family, his devotional service will nonetheless resume from where it left off. Devotional service is ahaitukya pratiyatha. It is not the effect of any mundane cause, nor can it be terminated by any mundane cause or permanently curtailed by any material interruption. Therefore, a devotee should be confident about his engagement and should not be very interested in the activities of the karmis, jnanis, and yogis. There are certainly many good qualities among fruitive actors, philosophical speculators, and mystic yogis, but all good qualities automatically develop in the character of a devotee. No extraneous endeavor is needed. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12, all the good qualities of the demigods progressively become manifest in one who has developed pure devotional service. Because a devotee is not interested in any material activity, he doesn't become materially contaminated. He is immediately situated on the platform of transcendental life. However, one who engages in mundane activity, be he a so-called jnani, yogi, karmi, philanthropist, nationalist, or whatever, cannot attain the higher stage of Mahatma. He remains a duratma, or cripple-minded person. According to Bhagavad Gita 9.13, Mahatmanastu mamparta, Mahatmanastu mamparta, daivim prakatimashita, pajanchananya manaso, jatva bhutarim abhyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Since all the devotees of the Lord are under the protection of His supreme potency, they should not deviate from the path of devotional service and take to the path of the karmi, jnani, or yogi. This is called utsaha nishchayadharya tat karma pavartanat. Enthusiastically executing the regular activities of devotional service with patience and confidence. In this way, one can advance in devotional service without hindrance. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandjana shalakaya chakshu unmilatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, Prabhupada begins this ending of his purport by summarizing the verse. And if one strictly follows the advice given in his verse, and then he goes through it, so one is sure to advance. So the previous verse, he gave 6 things, which expanded to 8 actually, by which one is sure not to advance. That's how he started. Atyahara priyasascha pajalpo niyamagraha janasangastalauyan says shadbir bhakti pranashyati. Pranashyati means completely destroyed. So over-collecting, overeating, very hard and strenuous work for gaining something material, priyasas. Nonsense talk, hearing or speaking such, going through the motions in one's daily activities of devotion or just neglecting them, niyamagraha. Associating with non-devotees. This is the most powerful antidote to devotional service, if you will. most powerful black, because everything emanates from there. Once you associate with non-devotees, then you get the idea for over-collecting and hard work for material things and everything else. So that's the most dangerous. And laulyam. Laulyam means greed for material things, just for money for its own sake. So these are the impediments, but then he's given us the things that are positive. And one is sure to advance if he takes these up. So it begins with enthusiasm, utsahan, nishtayat, dharyat, tat karma pravartanat. These, they go together. It's all in terms of the tat karma pravartanat. Means the daily activities, the getting up, the cleaning, the proper way to bow down, everything that we do, our business that's come down from previous acharyas, from Srila Prabhupada, who's giving us what Rupa Goswami gave in his Nectar of Devotion. We have to be enthusiastic about those things. We have to be determined in regard to those, that these will take us to the goal. And we have to be confident that we will achieve the goal. That, as Prabhupada mentions earlier in the purport, that's the evidence of faith. It all depends on faith. You don't even begin chanting or opening a book without some kind of faith. And that faith, Prabhupada explains, is kind of preliminary interest or respect. So you just walk in the temple and check out the Hare Krishnas. That's the beginning. Adhau Shraddha. There's some respect, some interest, some deference or understanding something's going on here that may be interesting or important. And in that association, one will hear about Krishna, and one will pick up the whole mood of devotion. It may not take right away, but that affects one's consciousness. And if one persists or continues to associate or periodically associate or gets interested, reads a book, which is the best association because you're associating directly with Prabhupada, then the all-auspicious beginning of one's bhajan may take place. In other words, you learn how to chant. And you take the chanting a little bit seriously and start chanting Hare Krishna on your own, and of course in kirtan. And then the purification immediately starts. Krishna is just like the sun, Maya is like darkness. When you come out into the sun, chiefly by hearing and chanting the holy name, immediately the purification begins to take place, Krishna within the heart. And that purification is, it's dependent on us, how fast that's going to take place. Anartha nivritti. So what are some of the arthas that you're trying to get free of, or the anarthas? The doubts, the material desires, material fears, anxieties, all kinds of false philosophies, who knows, different kinds of phobias you develop. All of this stuff is located in your heart, in your consciousness. But Krishna's in there, and he cleanses it away when he sees some sincere hearing and chanting. What is that? What is that verse? Shinvatam sukata Krishna punya shabana kirtana hridyandaksto yabhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. This is the foundation of all the bhakti, that, the whole process of devotion, is hearing and chanting. So this verse says, when Krishna understands that a devotee, he's in the heart, he understands this person is listening sincerely now to glorification of me. Krishna Katha. And Prabhupada pointed out there's two kinds. What are the two kinds, Mukunda Charan? Two categories of Krishna Katha. No, that which is spoken by Krishna himself, and that which is spoken about Krishna. Such as Bhagavad Gita is certainly the first kind. Bhagavatam, a lot of it is the second kind, but we also know that it's written by Vyasadeva, who is sometimes said to be an incarnation of Krishna. So it's all coming from Krishna. So hearing that, understanding, well, this person is he's in the heart, he's hearing sincerely. Ridyam taksto with Yabhadrani vidunoti. Abhadrani vidunoti means he's cleansing away the abhadras. The abhadras and the anarthas are the same thing, inauspicious things, uncleanliness. Abhadrani vidunoti, what is it? Vidunoti suritsatam, right, because he is the friend of the truthful or sincere devotee. He is the best friend. So that cleansing process is everything, because it's the dirt of the material energy and the material modes of nature that are keeping us in this bewildered condition, keep completely forgetting Krishna and identifying with our physical and our mental bodies and staying in illusion. So that purification, which has its effect, as mentioned in the next couple of verses, of lifting one out of the lower modes of nature and situating himself firmly in goodness, and then beginning to experience pure goodness. That's the result of this hearing and chanting. So, and that will be emphasized very much in this Upadeshamrita in the next few verses, about the importance of hearing purely from the pure source. That is the most powerful thing. So, utsaha nishayadharya, all three have to be there. The enthusiasm, and it can't just be a flashy enthusiasm, you become enthusiasm and then you just go away, you know. That be the determination and persistence. Utsaha nishayadharya, confidence and patience. Patience means over time. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit of the benefit. Now let me keep at it so that I really begin to experience more. And that's why it's so important to have senior association, to have exposure. Of course, we had Prabhupada in the old days, but even others who are clearly more fixed in devotional service, they're experiencing more, they know more. That is inspiring. People like us, who we see have gone somewhat further along on the path. That's very important. And that's why the society, Prabhupada had created the society. At the beginning, there was no one advanced. It was just Prabhupada. So he was the main association, that he nourished the early devotees, where they also became a little bit advanced and they could bring in more devotees, and that's how things grow. So, utsahan nishayadayat tattat karma pravartanat. And then to make sure that this process works, it's just like electricity. You know, if there's an electrical connection, but it's blocked or it's weak or it's loose, the electricity doesn't flow very well. So blocking that electric current is like associating with non-devotees, because your consciousness then becomes dirty. Then you pick up all the dirt again. You're trying to cleanse, and the dirt comes again. It can be to the point of where you just flip 180 degrees, and everything that you thought was interesting and true and revelatory, you said, "Oh, that's complete illusion." Now I understand that just smoking pot and having reggae is actually more blissful than having a kirtan. How could I be so foolish? And all of the memories fade away. The Krishna consciousness becomes the dream, and Maya becomes the reality. Just the reverse of what's true. So therefore, it's emphasized in both the second and the third verses, the importance of not associating with non-devotees. Associating with devotees, not associating with non-devotees. And then the last point is sato vritte, following in the footsteps of the acharyas. This again brings back the point of all-important point of association with those who are further along on the path. Now in the purport here, I'm just going to run through real quick. Prabhupada quotes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he seems to be referencing this verse by Lord Chaitanya, and it's teaching to Sanatana, I believe, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataeva Shanta. Who's peaceful? Who can really be peaceful? Peaceful means you're satisfied also, that you're not thinking you're missing out. So actually the way it goes is Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataeva Shanta. Because the pure devotees, those who are far along, have no material desire. Therefore they're peaceful. Recall the second chapter, where Krishna talked so much about peace, and it was all in terms of giving up material desire. The summary verse is Vihaya Kama Niksavan Pumang Chodati Nikspaha Nirmamo Nadahankara Sashantim Adigachati. It begins with giving up material desire. Well, you can't just give up material desire. We're made of all those desires. They've been imbued in us and we've cultivated them. They have to be purified, sublimated. I love that word, to be sublimated. Prabhupada always gave the example, to eat something. We like to eat nice foods, nice tasty foods. That's just built in. So what are you going to do with that? If you can't find that in your spiritual practice, that'll be a big black hole. You'll do some yoga or anything and then go out and eat some karmi food. Who knows, you may even eat meat or whatever. Whatever it is, it's not prasadam. And that'll bring the consciousness down. Because whatever consciousness is there in the person who cooks it and prepares it, that's going in. The Buddhists don't understand that. That's why they're so careful how they, cut everything. They understand some of that. So there has to be a way of eating spiritually, of seeing spiritually, of tasting spiritually, especially hearing spiritually. And that's what devotees. That's what vihaya kaman yaksavan. All material desires, free of, because your desires are all spiritualized. So pumang chadik nixpraha, living free from these material desires. That's pure devotee. And then nirmama, nothing is mine. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, I'm not tempted to use it in my service, but I use it as wherever appropriate in Krishna's service. Then everything becomes nidahankara, free of false ego. You don't identify with the body. This is shanti. This is true shanti. The foundation for building, further devotion. So, whereas those who are after their own liberation, mukti, that's a kind of kama. These are mukti kamis, siddhi kamis, what to speak of bhukti kamis. They can never be peaceful. Because if you're trying to get liberation, first of all, it's a selfish desire, ultimately. And you can never be fully confident of it. Because it's unnatural. It's based on your repression, really, of your desire to act and to see and relate to others. Right? This impersonal liberation. Prabhupada quoted the verse all the time. It's right in the Bhagavatam. Ye and ye adabindaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya. That there are others beside the devotees, my Lord. These are the demigods praying to Krishna in the womb. Tvay ashta bhavad, they're opposed to you, avishuddha buddhaya, because their intelligence is not purified. So what do? They perform severe austerities. Just imagine trying to be a yogi, trying to withdraw your senses and mind from all of this phantasmagoria without Krishna. All you've got is your own mind and the white light, How could you possibly do it? So therefore, very few, by great austerities can repress the senses for some time. And that's why it says, arura kritrena param padam. They go to the transcendental abode, meaning they're Brahman at best. They get Brahmabhuta, But they're insecure there because their their intelligence is impure. Padam patantyadho, they fall down. Anadyuta yushmadangne, because they're averse to serving your lotus feet. They don't want the form of Krishna. That's also Maya. Everything variegated is Maya to them. They've thrown out the baby with the bathwater. They don't understand that there's spiritual variegations, there is spiritual love, there's spiritual activities. It's not that spirit, that Maya means acting in all kinds of ways in the material body, and spirit means not acting, no body, like that. The big mistake. So they're not peaceful, because they're always threatened with falling down from their period. And it's a selfish desire. Then you have the siddhi kamis, the yogis who go off to the Himalayas and practice yoga, but they develop these powers and they become attracted to wielding the powers. The Vasa Muni is not peaceful. He's always worried that people aren't respecting me enough. Right? We have several pastimes like that. That's not peaceful. Devotees don't worry, hey, I'm not getting enough honor. Did you offer your obeisances to me this time? Properly. What devotee says that? He's always anxious to put himself in the lower position. So, but the siddhi kamis, the materialistic yogis, they're always thinking that I have more powers than this one. Why is that? It's ego driven. And then there's the bhukti kamis, the ordinary 99.99%, who are just enamored of gross and subtle material sense gratification. And there's unlimited of that. They're certainly not peaceful. So that's spoken of here in this first paragraph. And so he winds up with this famous verse from the Gita. What is night for the materialist is day for the devotees, and vice versa. And so it's because it's 180 degrees. They think that, carousing around, getting drunk and going off on Friday and Saturday nights, that's the height of ecstasy. And then they forget, the hangover and all those things, and what they're doing to their bodies by all of this extreme, sense gratification, burning it out. So, let's see. So then Prabhupada makes engagement in devotional service is the life and soul of the living entity, desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. One has to become confident of this. In other words, accept that truth. And that's not easy, because the material mind is saying, no, there are so many other goals. Right? And so that has to be, that's part of the sadhana, to keep that faith. That, in fact, that's the definition of faith. The real faith. Shraddha shabde vishwas kore sudadhanashjoy krishna bhakti kore sarva karma kritohoy. Complete confidence, unbreakable confidence that just by working in Krishna consciousness, all my aspirations will be achieved. This actually what Prabhupada says in the 10th canon of Bhagavatam, it is stated, and that's the verse I just quoted, Yenya Vrindaksha Bhamaktamadavas. Okay. And then my devotee is never, he tells Arjuna, declare it boldly, my devotee never perishes. There's another thing to be confident of. And then that there's no loss or diminution. Even if we don't succeed, we should try to succeed as far as possible. But even if we don't, we don't lose out anything. Everything is, you take it over to the next life. And Prabhupada quotes here also, even if the verse here we very often quote from Narada Muni in the 5th chapter, 1st canto, Chaktva swadharmam chadanam bhajang harer. If someone gives up his place in material society, in this case swadharma, and takes full time to serving Hari's lotus feet, but doesn't complete the course, falls back down, what is there any loss? Mehabhikamanashasti. But if someone very nicely follows Swadharma but doesn't have any bhakti in there, where is there any gain? Whatever you may gain in this lifetime, it's simply lost when you lose the body. But if you have gained something in Krishna consciousness, that stays with you, because your consciousness goes with you. Your mind goes with you. So, one should be confident that one can succeed. And then he describes about good qualities. He cites, although doesn't quote, this yes yasti bhakti bhagavati kinchana, that all the good qualities develop in devotees. And that one should follow in this instruction of the Gita to become a Mahatma. Take shelter of the internal energy. This nectar of instruction teaches us how to take shelter of the internal energy. That's the definition of Mahatma. Mahatmanas tamam parta daivim prakrtim ashrita. Next line. Bhajan. Yananya manaso. Gyatva bhutadam abdiyam. The Mahatmas, the two, he's contrasting them with the those who deride Krishna in the human form. Let's see, we can chant together. Avajananti mamudha manushim tanam ashritam padam bhavam ajananto mama bhuta mahesharam. And what's the result? Moghasha, moga karmano, moga jnana vicheta saha raksasim asarim chaiva prakriti mohinim shrita. The last line, take shelter of the prakriti mohinim, the bewildering material energy. What is their result? They deride Krishna. They say, well, it's some imagination of some ordinary person when he appears in human form. How can he be God? Right? They don't know Krishna's ultimate nature of the source of everything. So what's the result of that mentality? Everything they hope for is frustrated. Mogasha. Just look at this society. People have so many plans from high up, in the reaches of the financial and the political and the military and the security, They think they're the leaders of the world. So many plans. They're basically planning to try to conquer the world. We're living in a country that thinks they can conquer the world now. That's it. We want to have full spectrum dominance. They even have a whole, plan for it. In other words, it's their. Not everyone knows that, but that's it. So is that really going to happen? I mean, what could they do about this hurricane coming? Did they really want to, North Carolina to be devastated? No, but they can't do anything about it. Nature is much stronger. The Texas-sized plastic island floating in the Pacific from all the waste. Actually, what's going on now, why you may not see it, but there are more of these. What do you call them? Autoimmune diseases developing and all kinds of things like that.
is like the vast pollution of the environment. Years and years and years of industry, the plastics, the antibiotics getting into. They don't. The EPA, what's supposed to be developed to protect us from that, they're all bought out by the people they're supposed to regulate. In other words, the money, the corruption is huge and deep. So what's the guiding principle? There's only one. You accumulate more money, more power. Now it's interesting. I've said this before, but it's worth. The word Ishvara. Krishna is Parameshvara, right? He's ultimately the supreme controller, right? Ishvara, Parama, Krishna, right? Beginning of Brahma Samhita. So, but that sense of Aishvarya, or control, you have Ishvara and Aishvarya. Now, Aishvarya is a synonym for money. Money is power, right? You can buy this politician and everything else if you have enough money. So, money is obviously power. But Krishna is the Parameshvara. He owns all the money, although they stole it, but ultimately he owns it. But more than that, the actual controlling power is there. And that is given over, to material energy when it comes to discontrolling the gross materialists and everything. So material energy is supreme. You can't overcome nature. All this, fossil fuels burning. I mean, just kind of broaden the time frame. It's been, 100 years basically they've had the internal combustion engine and all this stuff going on, So now the oceans are heating up. They're absorbing most of the carbon dioxide, and there's this whole I forget what it's called, but it's an ocean stream that flows up from Africa up into Europe, and that's what makes England habitable. It's at the same latitude as Moscow. But they don't have the kind of snow and 20 below weather there because it's moderated by this flow. That's starting to stop. It's slowing down, and it's going to stop because of all the heating of the ocean. And when that stops, like Europe, it become the food. They won't be able to grow food. The whole thing is going to be disrupted. It's already being disrupted. That's just one example. The whole thing is going on with the poles and the melting of the ice caps and the more heat. It's nature. It's nature. We know there's a person behind it, right? It's consciousness. So in very few years, everything is going to change. It's already changing. I mean, the kind of the amazing weather here that's been moderate, not too hot, not too cold in SanDiego. This is like the major thing about SanDiego. That could easily be disrupted. One day we'll be in winter and wait a minute, it got down to 40, 35 here in SanDiego for an extended period. I'm not saying it has yet, but it easily could, with all the disruption that's going on here. So then what happens? Anyway, the point is that these fools, mogasha, their hopes for dominating nature, speak of their own lives, they're all going to die, are frustrated. Moga karma, no, their activities. Moga jnana, their so-called knowledge, they think they got it figured out. Moga means useless, frustrated, failing. And what is the category? Rakshasim asuras. They're man-eaters and, cannibals and the worst kind of demons. Why? Pakati mohini shata. They've taken shelter of the bewildering energy and they've forgotten all about me. On the other hand, he quotes the Mahatmas. This stark contrast. He's only got a few verses, a few minutes to speak, Krishna, so everything is very stark. Mahatmanas to Mahaprabhu, but the great souls, Arjuna, take shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, internal energy. They focus on Krishna. They try to purify their existence. They have the longer view. Immediately understand, we can't just do everything for this little spotlight that we're in now. This is a great chance as human beings to get out of this birth and death. What do they do? Bhajantyana manaso. There it is. They worship me with one point of attention without their minds wandering away. So achieving that state is the prime foundation of advancement in devotional service. Why do they do it? Because they know I'm the source of everything. Because they know I'm God. And how do they do it? What's the next verse? What's the prime way of doing it? Let's chant together, everyone. Who knows? Satatam kirtayantam mam yatantascha dravita namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. The whole process is right there. Always chanting my glories. Kirtaniya sadahari. Satatam kirtaniya yatantas, and striving with great faith and determination. Dridavrata. Striving because we have so many internal blockages, so we're so conditioned. We have to strive to overcome them, and we have the tools. So the striving is important in any discipline, especially spiritual. They all bow down to me, namasyantastamam nitya, with bhakti nitya yukta upasate, always connected to some kind of devotional service. So he's describing the pure devotees, the Mahatmas, but it's where we're supposed to go and what we're to strive for. And then you come to the point, you develop where you're secure, you're nishta. It's not just flickering komala shraddha, delicate faith that can be broken, but you can't be broken. That's nishta. That's firm determination described in the Bhagavad Gita also. So, and then the last paragraph. So under protection of the supreme potency, they should not deviate from the path and take to the path of the karmis, the gyanis, the yogis. As we mentioned those. This is called utsahanishya dayatata karma vivartana. Okay, so I'm leaving tomorrow on a month-long trip, East Coast, and then to Phoenix and Tucson also I'll be coming. So when I come back, we can resume this, or if you want to do something, we continue on Monday. We're beginning text 4. Any comments, questions on these important instructions from Rupa Goswami? Okay, good. Speak it into the mic. Hare Krishna. It should work.
Hare Krishna.
So, due to different, conditionings that people, develop over this lifetime, previous lifetimes, certain things are more difficult than others to do.
Uh-huh.
So, in relation to patience, that seems to be quite a challenging quality to have. And Prabhupada said, especially for Westerners, he said that in the Nectar of Instruction, specifically said that we have reduced the number of 16 rounds to 16 rounds because the Westerners are, restless.
Uh-huh.
So restlessness is kind of a bit of a passion, impatience. They don't have the patience to sit there and meditate. So maybe you could just comment on this idea of devotees, developing patience, and because it's it's not going to take 6 months. It may not even take 6 years. It may take long.
Take a couple lifetimes.
Yeah, it may take some time. So maybe you could comment on it.
Hare Krishna. ADHD, isn't that, what is that called? Attention deficit disorder or something like that. Hyperactive disorder, thank you. So this is, so that's kind of a clinical term, for like an advanced state of what you're talking about. But interestingly enough, I think it's the 11th canto, there's a statement there where it's described how when one loses the ability to concentrate, and it's really advanced like that, it said like the intelligence is ruined. Because really when you think about it, to do anything, efficiently or properly, you have to concentrate and apply your intelligence and then act, over time. And if you're so restless that you can't concentrate, that's obviously a clinical condition, and you're helpless, you're ruined, So, on a spectrum, because of the completely unnatural lifestyle, that people lead now, and because of the proliferation of what do I call it? Inputs or distractions. You live in India. With the advent of television, when to speak of the internet, I'm sure social media is just like it is there. and it just disturbs your mind. It's not natural to have all this stuff coming in all the time, and these extreme sounds and things. It's like I'm sitting in my apartment, and now during the summer, thank God the summer is winding down now, but there's a certain class of guys who, no offense, I'm sure you're not one of them, who love to rev up, get those mics going and as loud as possible, right? They purposely, I don't know if they don't have any muffler or they just, and maybe the goal is to kick off the automatic alarms. I heard that happen to a guy. Went through, he was so loud, and then before the, what is that? That's like the complete mode of ignorance, aggressiveness. You know what I mean? But it's there because we've got the technology to do it. It's available. So the thing is, this is something that you have to overcome, because when you're exposed to something, it leaves a residue in your mind. What is it called? A vritti. It's an impression in the mind. It's not a mystery. This is what education is all about. They try to train you so that you get good impressions and you become a proper person and whatever. But today's there's so many exposures that when it comes to the simple act of focusing the mind on the sound of Hare Krishna, it becomes very difficult. There's so many things going on distracting you. But it's a fact that, and that's what an ashram is such a blessing. This is the whole idea, is that you regulate your activities, and you're not associated, you're not having all these other inputs and distractions. And gradually the mind can become more peaceful, and you come up more toward the mode of goodness. And mode of goodness means, what is that peace, that shanti? It means that the mind is not being agitated. Shochati kankshati, and fears and anxieties. And you don't even know why you're anxious anymore. It's like, it can veer toward the pathological. So it's not something that, that just living in this world, you're exposed to it, and everyone has that to some degree. But the regulated life of Krishna consciousness, and following the injunctions, not associating, not exposing yourself to all these things, gradually the mind quiets down. But you have to really want that, and there's a period of withdrawal, because it's kind of like a drug, a period of withdrawal. I mean, they've done tests. These poor kids now, glued to their cell phones, and college kids. They've said, would you like, we'll give you $200, but for 3 days you can't use your cell phone. You can only use it half an hour a day. And they were reporting, great anxiety, fear of missing out, and being disconnected, and what are they saying about me? And oh my God. Can you imagine living like that? I mean, it's hard enough growing up as an adolescent and going through this whole thing, body image and everything, especially for the ladies. And then, having a minute-by-minute assessment of who you are. So all of that is like a kind of insanity, that if you want to be Krishna conscious, the Krishna conscious is built on, a controlled mind, peacefulness, steadiness. So if we really want that, then we have to be determined. That's why you have to be determined and patient to do those things which will gradually, that agitating state of mind will be pacified, and you can overcome it. It's not easy. But that's why retreats are good. Either to the Holy Dham or just out in the country, away from all that. Leave the cell phone at home for 2 days, and chant Hare Krishna. And the process is very powerful, but the distractions are also very powerful in this age. So it's not, there's no other means. I mean, but you can see that the devotee lifestyle is definitely an antidote to that. That's the only way. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Bol.